What's up, everybody? Me and Kylie over here. We have a lot to talk about today, including a little bit of a recap, Chiefs versus Broncos, maybe talk about some of the biggest issues that the Chiefs could be facing, including red zone, being too cute on 3rd and 4th and short. We're going to talk about a certain receiver, a very familiar face getting traded back from a team. He's now a Chief once again. Another familiar face in a defensive end taking a physical at the Chiefs facility tomorrow. Then we're going to preview the Chiefs versus Chargers. So let's talk about it. But first, how about the Chiefs? All right. This is just a reminder, everybody in chat, if you have super chats and stuff like that, we will get to it about the last 10, 15 minutes of the show. If I see one pop up and it's relevant to what we're talking about, I'll try to address it right away. But if we've already either gone over it or we're not there yet, we'll wait and hold on to it. But just know that we appreciate you guys. Kylie, this is episode 6. We're vets in the game now. How's it going?
Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I think I saw you put episode 6 and I was like, wow, the season is flying by. We're almost to the bye week. I think we've got a couple more weeks for that. But no, it's going well. I've enjoyed this. Like six weeks in, I love it. This is great.
Well, then I think we did 3 live streams together before. So we're almost 10. It's almost 10. That's veteran status.
It's totally veteran status.
There's a lot to talk about, but before we do, the Broncos and Chiefs game, let's go there. The question I have first off in my head, what'd you end up making for food? Or you didn't go to the game? So people always want to know what you made. Did you make food?
Which I really love that because like I said last time, I really love talking about food. So I will be more than happy to discuss this every week. So I didn't make anything last week because it was a Thursday night and I had to work until like 5:30. So I grabbed some pizza, headed home. We were done eating before the game started, and
perfect.
It was delicious. We hadn't had like ordered pizza in forever, so it was really nice to experience that again. It was awesome.
What were your thoughts on the game? You're probably glad you ate before because you probably wouldn't have ate during. Like, I don't even know. What did you think of the game? Give me some high level thoughts and where the Chiefs can improve going forward.
It's so funny you say that because I have to eat before the games. I will not eat during. That's totally true about that. Thoughts on the game? I think if you were to just put it into one word, I'd say offensively, it was a little rough. The Broncos always play us tough. I mean, it's a divisional game. We talked about this last week, how going in, even though we on paper were the better team, clearly they're outmatched. It was still going to be close. They were going to hang with us. I wasn't shocked by that. I was shocked by our play in the red zone. I felt like that was an area that was really frustrating throughout the game. Obviously, Mahomes had a pick that I would like to see not happen in the future. He looked like he was pressing a little bit. Obviously, there were some issues trusting some of those receivers. And then, of course, Justin Watson went down. He got hurt. Never anything you want to see. So offensively, I was a little but the defense, I mean, how many takeaways? I think we had 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and maybe a fumble, if I can remember correctly. But this defense is firing on all. Yeah. But Trent McDuffie, I mean, I don't know how much more I can say about him. He's been phenomenal. He has had now 3 forced fumbles through 5 weeks. So he's really right on par with where we want him to be for his second year. He's impressing. Him and Snead together. The secondary's amazing. The linebacking core, having Nick Bolton back was awesome. The defensive, our defense is awesome. And I don't know if I've seen a defense this physical from the Chiefs since like the 90s. And so it's really, really fun to watch. And for the first time in a long time, I'm actually looking forward to watching our defense play week to week. It's really exciting. Do you feel the same? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always excited to see the Chiefs get a W. I am less hitting the panic button than some people. I think the Chiefs offense, honestly, I know we're talking about defense, but just to move back to the other side real quick and then let's move on because the game happened a week ago almost. But like Chiefs offense had 400 total yards in that game. They were just 1-5 in the red zone. So they just got to clean that up. You score twice more in the red zone and you're talking about, what was the final score? 19-8. I mean, you're talking about 30-ish, 27-8. I mean, that's a bloodbath. So you got to clean that up. I love how the defense is playing because you got to think this year the Broncos, they're better on offense, not as they're not clicking as well on defense right now. So the Chiefs really shut the Broncos offense down, and they were doing pretty good. I mean, they're like middle of the pack. Some of the categories they're even cracked into the top 10. So I thought the Chiefs defense played really well, and honestly, the Chiefs offense did too, minus the red zone situation, 1 for 5, and then dude, 3rd and 4th and shorts driving me up the wall. You've got the fake field goal, turn QB sneak on 4th and 2. What the F is that? Then you've got Kadarius Toney going back to his high school days playing quarterback. I'm just like, dude, if you're going to go for it on 4th down in the red zone, like, can you not just leave it in Mahomes' hands with Kelsey out there, with Pacheco, or McKinnon? Like, scheme something up. I guess it would be, here's my thing. If it was 4th and 1, I think that tush push would have worked. But 4th and 2, they did not get enough. So I'm a little surprised they went for that on 4th and 2, I guess, is my thing.
It's a little surprising, but I also think this is a game that we were trying a couple new things, because I felt like there were times where it looked like it was really easy for us, and then times when it looked really difficult. For Andy Reid being such an offensive mastermind that he is, the 3rd and 4th and shorts, I don't understand. He's like, I don't know, put Tony in. Let's have him throw it. What? Like, why? But why? But why? And then he threw into double coverage, and it was just like, okay, not only are you throwing, but you're also throwing into McKinnon with 2 guys on him. So it's really interesting. I don't know that I fully believe, like, oh, I don't know if he's hiding some things, if he's trying to be a little bit more conservative on those 3rd and 4th, and they really are just trying things. But it's definitely frustrating as a fan to be like, but you just made it look so easy. Or, get a false start and make it 3rd and 7, because at this point I'm more comfortable with that than 3rd and short.
Yeah, devil's advocate. I wonder if Andy Reid was trying some stuff out, knowing that the Broncos are not really doing well. So I kind of wondered if he's like, hey, let's test the waters in a team or in a game that we know we're probably going to win. So, we'll see. Somebody said our offense is terrible. I mean, honestly, not really. They're top 7 in most categories, top 5 in some categories. They're the 9th highest scoring offense right now. That's considering they've kneeled 2 games out at the opponent's 2. They've kneeled 2 games out at the opponent's goal line, and if they would have scored both of those touchdowns, it takes them up to like 6th or 5th. So to say our offense is terrible when they're top 7, top 5 in most categories, it just shows we're just freaking spoiled, man, as Chiefs fans. We're used to the Chiefs last year. They were 1st in total yards, 1st in total touchdowns, 1st in, basically everything. They were 2nd in 3rd down conversions, 2nd in red zone touchdowns, the percentage that they scored red zones or touchdowns in the red zone. But they've taken a little bit of a step back. So yeah, they're not firing as top 1, top 2 and everything anymore. It's more top 5, top 7. So they've definitely taken a little bit of step back, but the defense has taken multiple steps up. So the Chiefs have, through 6 games in a season, the biggest or most positive scoring differential of the Mahomes era. Meaning, over the course of these 6 games, they've still won, like, decidingly in a lot of these games, even, like, compared to what the offense has scored and what the defense has allowed. It's still really good. So the defense is the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL. They've only allowed 14.7 points per game. I think the only team that's allowed less is the 49ers. So, and the 49ers have so many people back there. They have got a lot of dogs, and so yeah, it's more, somebody said, well, would you rather see the Chiefs score 35 a game like we're used to seeing, or would you rather see more of a defensively sound game, even if the Chiefs are winning more decidingly? Because I feel like a lot of these games, the Chiefs are winning more decidingly, even though it's not as high of scoring. So, like, earlier in Mahomes' career, Mahomes had to put up 35 to win, but the defense was allowing 32. So, we're used to fireworks, but it just looks different.
It does look different, and I don't know. There's something really, obviously it's not the exciting Chiefs team that we're used to with all the fun plays and the speed and lots and lots of points, as you just mentioned. But there's something really, really refreshing about seeing such a great defense out there. And in interviews with Trent McDuffie and other members of the defense, they've said, we want to be the team that's helping support the offense. We want to be the team that, you know what, if our quarterback is struggling, we can say, no, don't worry about it. We got you, man. We got you. And I truly feel confident when this defense gets on the field that they're going to either have a takeaway or they're going to get off the field quickly and put the ball back in Mahomes' hands. So it's just really nice to feel that way because I can't tell, like I was saying earlier, I don't know the last time I felt this comfortable with our defense. And of course, with Mahomes, it's never felt this way. So I think the offense will figure it out. I do. I think we saw last week that Rashee Rice was really starting to get into his own groove, and I felt like he had a really strong game. I think he's only going to continue to get things worked out. So I think they're figuring it out. It's just taking a little time, and I don't know. I'm really grateful that we have the defense that we do, especially with how young they are. That's really promising for the future.
You want to hear something I just heard today that I had to go look up for myself? All right.
What's that?
Mahomes targeted Kelsey and Rashee Rice 13 times. Okay? In the game against the Broncos, 13 times. Of those 13 targets, they caught 13 passes for, I think it was 196 yards total. 13 targets, 13 catches for 196 yards. None of them dropped a pass thrown their way, which I felt was pretty crazy. I mean, Rashee Rice, a lot of his passes were pretty short, and he turned them into some yards after the catch, which we were hoping for with Rashee. He led the draft class in yards after the catch, so I love to see that. But yeah, that was an interesting stat that I saw. And let's just move on from this Broncos game. And since we're talking offense, they signed it. Well, actually, they traded for a receiver today. It's somebody that I was actually intrigued to see them potentially bring back for a few different reasons. I've shared them on multiple streams. I've shared them in a video today that I dropped. Would love to get your thoughts first. When you saw that the Chiefs traded for Mecole Hardman, and basically, if you guys don't know, they basically traded for Mecole, and they exchanged a 6th-round pick in 2025 for a 7th. So the Chiefs basically gave up their 6th, I believe, and then the Jets gave up their 7th. I think that's right. It's one of the other ways, but I think that's the way because it would make more sense. So it's 2025 draft picks that got swapped. On top of that, Mecole Hardman is the Chiefs are going to pay him somewhere around $1.4 million on the season. You get Mecole, a healthy Mecole for $1.4 million, and you swap a 2025 draft pick. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I was at work and the news came through my phone and I immediately dropped what I was doing. I hope no one I work with is watching. I immediately dropped what I was doing and I was like, hold on, I got to figure this out. But initial thoughts, I was completely surprised. Obviously, it's a name, it's a thought that's been floating around for the last couple of weeks. I think we've all seen it, especially as we get more frustrated with the offense in its current state. The idea has been floated out there. But I really didn't think that the Chiefs were going to go there, specifically because they didn't offer him, I don't believe they offered him a deal in the offseason. So to not offer him a deal in the offseason and then come back and then trade for him, I thought was really interesting. I will say that with the injury to Justin Watson, I'm not as shocked as I would have been had Justin Watson been healthy. I think it makes a little bit more sense being that we're down a guy. It makes me wonder how long he'll be out. I don't think they're planning on putting him on IR, but it does make me wonder if maybe he's more hurt than we're hearing about, or if maybe they have less trust in Tony and Sky than we initially thought. Because in my opinion, Hardman is pretty similar to both of their skill sets. He's a gadget guy. He's someone who's going to get in. He's going to do some jet sweeps. He's going to take a lot, in my opinion, he's going to take some snaps from Sky and Tony, and It'll be interesting to see how they use him. That said, I'm not against the idea, especially when you think about what we just talked about. They've struggled in the red zone lately. Hardman was a really great red zone threat before he got injured last year. I believe he had 5 red zone touchdowns last year on 6 touchdowns total, and then he got hurt, obviously. Nobody wanted to see that happen, but he was doing good things when they used him correctly. So I think it's encouraging. I think it's great that he knows the offense. I think that, like I said, he can come in and do some things quick without having to take too much time to get back in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, so the Jets were basically fielding calls for Hardman. I mean, that was the report last week. They were seeking trade partners for Hardman. So Chiefs either heard that or the Jets called them. They're like, hey, do you want your old buddy back? And here's my thing. I understand the Chiefs let him go in free agency, but they weren't going to pay $5 million for Mecole Hardman.
Right.
But you want to swap a 6th for a 7th round pick in 2025 for $1.4 million? I mean, I'm open to that idea only because there's a couple things. Justin Watson, just like you said, he's out for 3 weeks. Andy Reid said today in his presser they're not going to be placing him on IR, but still, like, you need somebody with breakaway speed other than MVS. Mecole Hardman runs a 4.33 40. Justin Watson, you know, us white guys are sometimes, we can be fast, but we're a little slower. He ran a 4.44 40. And he's still, you know, Watson was still clearly winning. I think Mecole can be used in some of those ways, but also, dude, the jet sweeps in the quick passing game for the Chiefs has been way subpar, in my opinion, compared to what they normally are. I think some of that has to do with, I don't know if it's the tackles, if it's a little bit of the blocking, just trying to get things going. But like on bubble screens, it ain't the tackles out there. You know what I mean? So yep. I'm over here like, well, maybe Tony is just not quite right yet with this toe injury. The Chiefs are like, well, we can get some depth. I think that's the biggest thing for me is how valuable can the depth in your room be? So a lot of people are saying, well, this doesn't move the needle of the ceiling in the room. Well, no, but it moves the floor. You know, bringing in Frank Clark, if that's what they end up doing. I don't know if it moves the needle of the ceiling for the defensive line, but it does move the needle of the floor. Think about Drew Tranquil, which he was a great signing, but you have very valuable depth. Nick Bolton gets hurt for 3 weeks. Drew Tranquil steps in and just plays great. You know, maybe he has his own weaknesses compared to Bolton and stuff, but he had a great showing for 3 weeks when Bolton was out. You know, Mecole Hardman's going to be able to come in. He's going to plug in. He's fast. He's got better vision on these jet sweeps, especially better than Sky, which they run it with him sometimes. So yeah. You've got somebody who just, I mean, the reason why it makes sense to me is because how cheap it is, and he just knows the playbook. He was here for 4 years. You know, a lot of people are like, well, go trade for, I don't know, insert name, Adam Thielen. Okay, go trade for Thielen. Well, you can, but he doesn't know the playbook, and it's going to take him like 2 months to get up to speed. Mecole Hardman, it's going to take him a week and a half. I mean, you know, he's going to be able to plug right in. So I'm cool with it. I mean, I don't think he's the answer, but he is a helpful addition to the room.
Definitely. I think my only concerns with him coming back is I felt like in the deep threat in the passing game, he and Mahomes seemed to be off last season. I felt like there were a lot of times where Mahomes would either overthrow him or Hardman wasn't running the correct route and was in the wrong place. And that's something I don't want to see because we already have enough of that going on. But I think to your point, if he's used correctly, if he's used in the short pass game, if he's used in jet sweeps where he is productive, and that's where he really shined last year, I think it's going to be a really good thing. And hopefully we get better in the red zone because we need that.
Here, look at this from Jordan Foote. Mecole Hardman in his 4 games before his injury last season, 22 targets, 17 receptions for 226 yards, 5 total TDs, and he had 5 punt returns with a 10.4 yard average. I mean, those are pretty good numbers for what you're looking for in a quote unquote gadgety speed guy. You know, I think that's fine. Somebody said, well, he's mid. I mean, okay, says the guy sitting on his couch. I mean, thanks for weighing in. I mean, he's had 3 of 4 seasons, 500 plus yards behind Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I mean, obviously Hill wasn't there last year, and Mecole got hurt. He was on IR. He tried to come back, put his body on the line, converted a 3rd down for us, I think in the AFC Championship game. Out, done, surgery. That's all she wrote until they traded for him. But I think he plays his role well. I'm not a Mecole Hardman apologist. I mean, he's not perfect there. You're right. He did have some misconnects with Patrick Mahomes, and you're just like, dude, this is year 4. So that's a little bit concerning, but I'm not as worried about that because Mahomes hasn't showed much rapport with anybody. I mean, barely anybody anyway. Rashee Rice and Kelce for the most part. And then you could use him in the short behind the line of scrimmage plays, jet sweeps. You could line him up in the backfield. Like, you could do a bunch of stuff with Mecole pretty quickly. I think that means Montreal Washington more than likely gets waived. Could be wrong, but dude, Richie James is already on IR. If Justin Watson doesn't get put on IR, what wide receiver are you taking off? Probably Montreal Washington because he doesn't know the offense. He's a good returner, But if Dave Toub believes Mecole can be that dependable guy on special teams, he can do way more than Montrell in the offense right now. I mean, Montrell doesn't even know it. He's been here for like a month. So that's a positive for me. I'm not surprised that they did it. It kind of just makes sense. Cheap, and you get valuable depth. That's kind of where I am with it.
Yeah, and I think obviously Mahomes wants him back. Like, I don't think that they would bring him back if Mahomes wasn't fully on board with this. So I think that's something to take in consideration too. If your quarterback says, "Hey, I need this guy back. He's consistent. He knows the offense." Bring him back. So I think there was a little bit of that. You mentioned something which I was I didn't forget, but where is Richie James coming back? Do we think he's coming? Is he? I haven't really heard mention of him.
Yeah, Andy said he should. He was asked last week, and he basically said that, I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, he said Richie James shouldn't be on IR for the season. So the plan is to bring him back. I am kind of curious now what they do with Richie James with Mecole Hardman here. I still think Richie James is valuable depth. You sign him in the offseason, he's on a cheap deal, and he knows the offense. So, and he's still, even though he's on IR, you got to think those guys are in every meeting. They're doing mental reps. They're going over the playbook, everything. So Richie James is still there. I believe he's still around. He's still, he's still here mentally. So I don't know. I think it's Montrell Washington for now, and unless they make another move. And the reason why I think that is because, you want to bring a Minihue back from his suspension. You got to free up a space for him, which maybe it's Malik Herring or something like that. But then if you want to bring Frank Clark back as well, you got to move somebody else. And I heard some people even suggest that, maybe Frank Clark agrees to sign to the practice squad for a little bit until they can figure out where to place him. Because he's a vet, and until the trade deadline passes, Frank Clark, like you could kind of do like a handshake like that with the veteran. And then I'm just like, I didn't picture him being on the practice squad. So I'd be pretty surprised if that happens. But hey, if Veach and them talk and they're like, can you do this for me for a week or two while we get it figured out? I don't know. Chat, do you guys think Frank Clark's going to be on the practice squad if he's a Chief? I just don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
I don't think that. I think that would be so wild. But to your point, like, who are we getting rid of to make room for Frank Clark? Like,
everybody's saying no. I mean, Malik Herring. There's Malik's one. He's probably going for a Minihue. But then I would have to go look at the 53 right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, what about Neil Farrell? I think he's still on the 53. They just traded him from the Raiders, but he's I think he's on his rookie deal. So, and you gave up a draft pick for him. So I'm not sure.
Right. Well, and I think there's concern. I'm on the Frank Clark train. I would love to see him back in a Chiefs jersey.
Matt Dickerson.
I think, that's a good point.
Somebody said Matt Dickerson. Could be Dickerson. Yeah, that makes sense.
It could be. That actually makes a lot of sense, because what I was going to say is that I don't really want to see like someone like FAU getting less snaps or hindering his growth because we're bringing in someone like Frank Clark. And I think we talked about that a little bit last week, but I want to see Frank Clark here. I think he's a great leader. I think he did a great job of bringing George along last year and the way he was working with him after practice. So I want his leadership presence back in this defensive end room. I don't want to see other, rookies struggle or have to take less snaps because of it.
Yeah, Dickerson makes sense looking at that now. I think if Frank comes back, in my opinion, he'll be a rotational guy. I think there would have to be an understanding like, hey, you're not going to be the starter getting 60, 70% of snaps on the line anymore. We have other guys that are, with all due respect to Frank Clark, they're the future of the team. They're the young guys. We want to give them reps. But same thing as Mecole Hardman in a sense. What happens if George Karlaftis, his hamstring gets worse and he's on IR for 4 weeks? I mean, then you've got Frank Clark that can just step in and help. Well, you're always like one injury away from being like, oh yeah, this depth piece was a great freaking signing, and it would be cheap, in my opinion. I don't think Frank Clark's going to sign for a lot of money. The Chiefs already gave him $7.7 million in dead cap, or dead money. He already got multiple, $2-3 million from the Broncos. So he's sitting pretty this year regardless. Do you see Frank Clark tweet about Denver was nice, the horses and mountains were cool?
I was just going to say that. He's like, on my way out, let me give you guys some compliments. Give you a little praise.
Crazy, man. So I'm like, I mean, Frank Clark, if you guys don't know, he's getting his physical tomorrow at the Chiefs facility. So yeah, I would assume he signs this week back with the Chiefs if he passes his physical. You know, he battled injury this year, 3 weeks with a hip injury, and was sick last week. He was probably just sick of being a Bronco last week, to be honest. So,
well, yeah, wasn't it like the day after that game that he got released? Wasn't it like last Friday or so?
Yeah.
Like after we played them? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Jones would be psyched to have him back. Get those two back together. He's been pounding the pavement for him all off season, wanted him back. Even I think on Twitter he has Frank Clark as his background picture as well. So
probably. I think that's actually a great point. Even if it's just a morale boost for some of the guys in there, I think that's worth it. Train some of the young guys too. Mm-hmm. Let's look at this real quick. Injury report for this week. First day came out. It was a 10-10-10 walkthrough basically today. The only guy who did not participate was Justin Watson, and he's not going to be participating for a while. Well, he's not going to be playing for a while. Brian Cook with the neck, that's new, but again, the rest of these guys fully participated. So Brian Cook neck, Nick Bolton ankle, Karloftis hamstring, Kelsey ankle. Kelsey's ankle was heavily wrapped and he was out moving today. Sneed's knee, not new. Tony's toe, not new. Townsend's left knee. He played last week, even though he's listed as questionable. And Butker, I mean, shout out to Harrison Butker, who scored 13 of the team's 19 points, 4 field goals and a PAT. So shout out to Butker, but Butker said, hey, if Townsend didn't play, I wouldn't have had that success because he's my holder and we have the rapport. So Winchester, the long snapper, like they're the Trinity, the special teams trio. And so yeah, glad Tommy played. And then Charles Omenihu, he's coming back from suspension. So that should get taken care of soon. And he was out of practice today. The Chargers have a lot going on, and I haven't done a deep dive into all these injuries, but some of the big ones, Joey Bosa limited with a toe injury. He played. He was listed as questionable, I believe, against the Cowboys, but he played. Now, he didn't have as big of an impact, in my opinion, and it was probably because of that toe. Another one is Justin Herbert. He fractured his left finger earlier in October on his throwing hand. And he's also coming off of one of his worst games in a long time against the Cowboys. He did not look right at all out there. So those are two big ones. I mean, they've got some other guys here that were DNPs. Sebastian Joseph Day was limited. Donald Parham was full participant. Rashawn Slater, full participant. So I'm curious to see what the Chargers injury report looks like later in the week. Also, they had a key special teamer. He tore his ACL in the Cowboys game. It was...
Who was that?
I typed his freaking name into my note, and Apple Notes auto-corrected his name. It's not Raven. It's something Lane, but it freaking changed his first name. So he was one of their key special teamers. And then in week 3, Mike Williams tore his ACL as well.
That's right.
So they're battling a little bit of injuries. But with all that being said, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say that's something to watch because they actually just came off their bye as well. So they were one of the first bye weeks to have. Yeah, I think going into that Cowboys game. So that'll be interesting because they've got a long season ahead of them with I think probably one Thursday night game in there where they'll have a little bit of an extended bye, but then they're also coming off a short week. So it'll be interesting to see how things progress with them. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites. The Chargers are they're coming off of a short week. It's one day. So they played Monday Night Football. The Chiefs are coming off of a mini bye. So they have a little bit more time to prep and to practice. The Chiefs have basically won, I think, almost every game, right, since 2021. I think the Chargers swept the Chiefs in 2021. And I believe the Chiefs have won either the last 4 or 3 of the last 4. They've all been really close games. I saw somebody say the Chargers have lost. Let me see. The past 5 meetings between Chiefs and Chargers, the winner scored at least 27 points. So that's interesting. A lot of them were close. I saw this other guy, Tyler Dragon. He said the Chargers have lost 6 games by 3 points or fewer since the start of last season, the second most in the NFL over that span. The Chiefs have won 3 in a row against the Chargers, and Kansas City knows how to close games out. LA does not. So I found that interesting. The Chargers defense, man. I know we said this about the Broncos defense, but the Chargers defense is right down there with them, especially the secondary. 31st overall in yards allowed per game, 440.3. And then they've also allowed 24.8 points per game. So you're not going up against an elite defense. They do have Derwin James. They have some playmakers there. I think they traded J.C. Jackson back to the Patriots, so he's out of there, which I kind of wish he was back because I like seeing him get scorched. But Derwin James, he matches up well against Kelsey, so that'll be a key matchup. I guess my question is, can the Chiefs offense step up against, like we were like, oh, they're going to score 30 points on Denver because they're 32nd in everything. They suck. But they don't, I mean, nobody really sucks in the NFL. And when you play against divisional opponents, I have to take what I think's going to happen and kind of set it aside. Last year, I feel like a broken record saying this, but last year, Denver, 2 one-score games. Chargers, 2 one-score games. Raiders, 1 one-score game. And that was a 1-point game down to the frickin' wire that Devontae Adams and I think Renfro ran into each other like they were in the movie Bird Box with blindfolds running routes. But those are all divisional games, all close down to the wire. I have a feeling this is going to be another close one. I've been rambling, but I'd love to get your thoughts on this game.
Listen, it's for sure going to be close. I'm done predicting anything with divisional games where we win by more than 3. It's not happening. I just need to convince myself. Like you said, the last few matchups with the Chargers have been tough. I believe we had a walk-off TD in 2 of them, I think, and like overtime and Kelsey, and that was an amazing game. But the thing about the Chargers defense is they're not great at blocking the run. So I think if we go in and we have a pretty balanced attack, like we've been doing better of getting Pacheco the ball more, getting him more carries, seeing him a little bit more in the passing game, I think we can have a little bit more success. You mentioned Derwin James. We also have to worry about Joey Bosa. He's going to be a concern, even though he does have an injury. So our tackles are going to be tested, and they have not been doing amazing. Our interior O-line has been great, but our tackles have struggled a little bit in not only penalties, but in pressure ratings. So it'll be interesting to see how Andy schemes that up, but I do think that they use Pacheco more. I think Kelsey, he always seems to eat whenever we play the Chargers, so I don't think he'll struggle much. But it'll be interesting to see if they use Mecole at all, if he gets back up there. If they use Rashee Rice more, I think that's someone that they could really lean on. He's been doing great, as you mentioned, with yards after the catch, and I think he's getting more and more comfortable. So I think that there's going to be a couple different ways that they attack this, but I think the most important thing will be going in and having a balanced attack and leaning on the run game a little bit more.
Yep, their D-line is definitely much better. I think they're one of they have the 3rd most sacks in the league with 21. And if you look at this, we always think of Bosa, right? We always think of Joey Bosa. Well, look at their other 2. Bosa has 3 sacks on the season. Morgan Fox has 5, and then Khalil Mack has 7. So
he's a beast.
This is like a trio here where it's like, good God almighty. We got to watch out for these guys. Now, on the flip side, Mahomes, I saw somewhere or read somewhere, he has the 2nd least amount of pressures faced of any QB in the NFL this season, I believe was a stat, which is pretty fantastic. Now, there's still times where he's holding the ball and you're like, are you going to find somebody? And so there's still issues and questions there. But yeah, you've got to watch that trio, man. Khalil Mack, Morgan Fox, and Joey Bosa. I just see M. Fox. What name do you think of when you see M. Fox? M. Fox. Well, I'm thinking Megan, even though I don't even know if she's still acting anymore, but I'm thinking Megan.
I don't know what she does. I think, God, he's got to quit holding the ball so much. I mean, I think there's magic in Mahomes, right? And creating plays and making them like, making them last longer and finding the guy who's open and running around for 5 minutes behind there. I just moved my mic. 5 minutes and then finding, like, making something happen. It's Mahomes magic, but it's stressful. We need these guys to get open. We need him to be able to get the ball out quickly. So that's something I'm going to be looking for in this game. Like you said, those guys are going to eat. So I think too, it's going to be a battle of the coaches. And my personal opinion, Brandon Staley is not a good coach. He's not great situationally. He loves to lean into the analytics of things, even though it's clearly, in my opinion, not the right call. I don't know.
You want to see a funny stat that I saw today? I couldn't believe it. It's not an apples to apples comparison because I do like Herbert, but look at this. Look at this. Do you see this? It's kind
of apples to apples. Look at those stats.
Well, I think Herbert has like 20 or 30 less INTs. It's like a lot less actually, but look at this. Justin Herbert's first 54 games, I believe it is. Is it 54 games as a starter compared to Rivers' last 54? They're both 27 and 27. Both average around 280 passing yards per game, both around 100 passing TDs, and both have a passer rating of around 95. I was just like, you know the Spider-Man meme where they're going like this? Yeah. I literally said, wait, where is it? Yeah, I literally posted this. This is Justin Herbert and freaking Cry Me a River. I thought that was pretty funny. Now, I think Herbert is better than that, but dude, yeah, you're 500 as a starter. He's not really clutch at getting it done.
Nope.
Hopefully that's not going to happen on Sunday either. Like, if you're going to put money on what coach and QB duo is going to figure out a way to get it done with the game on the line, I'm going to put my mortgage, maybe not that much, but I'll put quite a bit on Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And back to Justin Herbert, Matt Verderam had a really great tweet, and he asked, what game do you recall where Herbert has really shined? And I think, and I'm paraphrasing, and those aren't the words he used, but when you look back over his career, like in the last few years, what has he really done? I mean, that Jags game in the playoffs last year was a mess. They came back, they won, or the Jags came back and won.
27. And they're up by 27.
Yeah. Really all he needed to do was have one drive where he went down and scored, and they couldn't do it. And it was just like, at some point you got to be able to be clutch. At some point you've got to be able to not to make those throws down the stretch, because how many times on Monday night did he miss the guys that were wide open? He just overthrew them. And maybe it's because
There's
of
a couple
finger,
bad ones.
it's broken, but like that's consistent with what we've seen from him. I've seen him in games against us. I've seen them in games against around the league. Like at some point he's going to have to make those throws, and you got to start pointing the finger at him, even though Brandon Staley is very much to blame for a lot of what happens in that organization.
Brandon Staley looks like he's aged 10 years in the offseason. That beard, he's growing that beard. It's all, I mean, he's got a lot of wisdom, I guess. Maybe not in
wisdom.
Crucial.
No.
Well, here's where I'm going with that. Maybe not in crucial coaching situations, but they jokingly say if you've got grays in your beard, it's showing signs of wisdom. So I was like, maybe he's getting wisdom, but I don't know if it's in crucial game on the line situations yet. Or the playoff game just straight up aged his ass 5 years because it was so bad.
I mean, such a you know what's so crazy, not that this is even about that, but during that game I remember sitting at halftime and being like, I feel like the Chargers are going to lose this game, and they did. So I mean,
dude, every time I've watched a divisional opponent, a rival, play a game recently, I see them win it and I'm like, they had no business winning that game. I thought the Chargers were going to do that on Monday night, and I'm glad they didn't. But geez Louise, I was like, are the Cowboys really just going to let these guys win? This is crazy. So anyway, glad they didn't. I think the Chiefs are 5-1. What's next? The Chargers are 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
What are the Raiders? Do you know off the top of your head? The Broncos are 1-5. 2-4 maybe?
3-3. 3-3.
That's right. I think that's right. Yeah, they're 3-3. 5-1, 3-3, 2-3. 1-5 is the Broncos. So, dude, if the Chiefs win. If the Chiefs win Sunday, 6-1, Chargers are 2-4. I mean, we really need a win. I mean, I think this is almost the most important game of the season so far as like where standings are, who you're playing, and what's on the line. Not because if the Chiefs lose this game, they're in dire trouble. But just that another win against a divisional opponent that is going to be clawing for second place in the division. I mean, if they win, the Chargers won on Sunday, they're 3-3, just like the Raiders, and the Chiefs are 5-2. I mean, you're only a couple games behind, but if the Chiefs win, you're multiple games behind, or they're multiple games behind, rather. So I think it's a pretty important game for the Chiefs to win. I am going to roll with the Chiefs getting the W. I would love to hear your score prediction, even though they're so freaking hard to predict.
I know, gosh. I was so wrong last week, too. I just want to preface this by saying, I think like you said, we had
you said like
winning
30-17 or something?
I think it was like 35-20. I had us winning by 2 scores. That didn't happen. We didn't even make it to 20. I mean, it was rough. But
shoot.
I'm gonna try and be a little more level-headed about this. I really do think that they're going to go in strong with a strong running attack. I think that that's where they're going to put their focus. I think Mahomes, he's seen this defense multiple times. They've seen Staley. I think with Travis Kelce eating on that team the way that he does, I think we're going to go in. I think we're going to win. And I'm going to say we're going to win 27-24. It'll be close. I'll be pulling my hair out, but we're going to win.
Well, I read you that stat earlier that the past 5 meetings between the two, the winner scored at least 27. I'm going to go against that. I'm going to say Chiefs 23, Chargers 17. And when I say the Chiefs get 23 points, I could honestly see them scoring 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. Like, I hope that's not what it ends up being, but I have the Chiefs winning, but I'm just going to go the Chiefs score around their average, which they're averaging around 25 points per game. So I'm going to go with 23. I'm going to go with the Chargers 17, although that's a bit above what the Chiefs defense has been allowing on average per game. They allow 14.7 points per game. So I could even see it being 23-14, and maybe that last touchdown is in garbage time. So maybe it's not close, but dude, you know how the Chiefs freaking play. You know how they play these divisional opponents, man. I'm going to need what is it? Pepto-Bismol, or what is helps with heartburn? I'm going to need something to help with that. Whatever that is.
Tums?
Yeah, sure. I'll need anything because I'm going to be stressed to the nils. Yeah.
Okay, so you have your score prediction. You get bonus points if you can guess how many times Brandon Staley will go for it on 4th and 1 or 4th and whatever.
I mean, at least a couple. Probably 2.
At least a couple. I bet he goes for it on 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, let me look at this.
There's probably a stat there. Not that it's always bad. Like, I'm not saying you can never go. You can't ever go for it on 4th down. But he does it in didn't he do it in the Vikings game? It was like they went for it on 4th down in their own. It was just a mess. Anyway,
they're 6 for 10. They're 6 for 10 on the year. So in 6 games, they've gone for it 10 times. Well, 5. Are they on a bye? They had a bye. So they've gone for it on average twice a game. Yeah. So I'm going to go with 2. That's what I'm going with.
That's a good guess. When he hits that 2nd or 3rd one.
What team did we play and they converted 4 4th down conversions on us? Or 3 of 4. I think it was the Vikings. They went for it on 4th down so many times and converted like every time. I was like, geez. They also ran that jet sweep fake punt, which was crazy. It was like a reverse, not a jet sweep, but do you see that? I was like, dang, that was a good play. I was like, dang.
I do feel like that's something that we have to watch because that's twice now this season that teams have done it successfully, and I mean, teams have that on tape. They're like, they can't handle the fake, but why can't we handle a fake punt? Because even Dave Tobe, I think after the Vikings game, he was like, "Yeah, I knew they were going to do that." Well, what? Well, we didn't do much about it, so I don't know.
So we've got predictions in. We've got another week under the belt, but we're going to answer some super chats because there's a few good questions. We'll spend the last 10 to 12 minutes, unless you have anything else to add about the Chargers game before we move on. We'll probably answer a couple questions about them, so we have a little bit more.
No, let's do these super chats.
Cool. Before we get there, because I forgot to do it last week and maybe even the week before, I do want to plug the season-long sponsor on the channel, Underdog Fantasy. I mean, these guys have been awesome for me this year. I love doing their weekly pick'ems. I'm in a bunch of drafts. They are updating things all the time. And right now they're running a wild special. They extended it. It's not $100. First time, new customers, you can double your first deposit up to $500 using code HBTC or the link in the description. It's been fun. Dude, me and Troy, my editor, every week we do pick'ems, so higher or lower on a particular 5 set of players. And we always do it based on who the Chiefs are playing. So last week we did Chiefs and Broncos players, and we hit 3 of 5. We missed Pacheco's rushing yards by 10 and one Broncos player's total tackles by 1.5. And that would have been nice. So we've been doing this every week. It's fun. We like study like 30 minutes to an hour, and we try to make like the most realistic placements that we can. And we've gotten close. We've gotten close a couple times, so it's been a lot of fun. Troy is beating me in a couple drafts because he has Kirk Cousins, because he's a Vikings fan, and Kirk's actually balling out from a statistic standpoint for fantasy football, believe it or not. Yeah, so shout out to Underdog. If you guys are interested, first deposit can be doubled up to $500. I don't see anybody else talking that much of doubling the deposit either. So, ooh, Britt has his already. I
feel like I need to try this. I'm going to have to get in on this.
Yeah, they're fun. I think Britt, one of the OGs on the channel, he's got his pick'ems right now. He's going with Mahomes to go higher than 278.5 passing yards, Rashee Rice to go higher than 35.5 receiving yards, Khalil Mack to have more than a half a sack, Pacheco higher than 62.5 rushing yards, and then Chris Jones greater than a half sack. So, dude, but if you stack those, you can earn up to 20x on the money. So, dude, $50. If you win all 5, it's 1,000 20xing them, which is so crazy. So that's why it's exciting. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We really enjoy it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move to these. I didn't mean to talk that long about it, but the pick'ems are super fun to me. FLDB with the 10 said, happy Wednesday. Looks like this week's going to be great. I really hope so, FLDB. We have 3 players, potentially 3, coming back. Charles Omenihu, Mecole Hardman, Frank the Shark. There's blood in the water, Clark. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Like, here's a question. This is the title of the stream. How much do you think Mecole Hardman is actually going to play this week if he plays?
I think we bring him in. I really think we use him in the red zone. I really do. I think that they bring him in the red zone. I think we could see him on some 3rd and shorts, probably some variety, 4th and short. I don't think he gets much playing time though. I think they still limit him to an extent.
Does he get more snaps than Justin Ross?
Yes.
You think so?
Will. Yes, as much as I would like to see Justin Ross out there more, I just don't think that they're confident in him. I don't think that they're comfortable with him getting as many snaps. And I think that his route tree is just really limited right now. And so I think with someone who knows the offense a little bit more like Mecole and has a little bit more versatility, I should say, I think you could see him get used a little bit more. I'm not a fan of that answer, but I think that's what'll happen.
What I want to see is Justin Ross utilized a bit more like Jody Fortson in the red zone. Big body, throw that jump ball, baby, or back shoulder. Like, that's what I'm kind of waiting to see. That's what I thought we would see him as, and I haven't really seen that too much just yet. We saw that one 50-50 ball down the left sideline a week or 2 ago, maybe.
Yeah.
For like 17 yards. But outside of that, been a little quiet. Rax with the 2. What about Justin Ross getting cut? I don't think that's...
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think if you're saying to make room for Mecole Hardman, Montrell Washington or Justin Ross, I'm just going to go with Justin Ross is staying. I mean, he's on a rookie deal. He's a UDFA, but he's on a rookie deal. Montrell's on a little 1-year flyer deal. You know, you could get him back on the practice squad. You can't get Justin Ross back on the practice squad. I don't think he's the guy that goes, in my opinion. On top of that, you got to think about this. Justin Watson's not playing. So they're going to want guys that can actually take snaps on the offense, and that's not Montrell Washington. at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, I threw this up earlier, but Sean said the 4 people that could potentially go if you're talking about bringing back Frank Clark and Charles Omenihu. Like, those are 4.
Mm-hmm.
Could be Neil Farrell, Malik Herring. And then he's talking about Washington was for Hardman. But then you've got Matt Dickerson as well.
Yeah, Dickerson's a really great call out. I didn't even consider him. That's a great call out. And again, back to what we were talking about with Justin Ross, I just don't see him getting cut because he won't clear.
No.
He'll be gone. He'll be gone. And I think they know what they have with him. I think it just takes a little bit more time.
Thunder said, with the 5, thanks for the 5, brother. He said, rewatch some Hardman highlights. He's super dangerous in space. Good to have his safety valve out in the flats, quick screens and sweeps. No, exactly. I mean, quick passes, bubble screens, short little option routes. Like, Mecole's going to be able to plug and play like pretty quickly in there. And then, yeah, you're going to be able to use him on punts and kicks. I mean, he's returned like around 100 punts and kicks in his NFL career total. I mean, divide that up. I'm just going off the top of my head from my research earlier today. So he's got the experience there. Dub Freak with a 10. Hi guys, hope all is well. What up, man? Do you feel with the addition of Hardman, we could see Rice lining up on the outside more and utilizing Hardman for his speed on the slant?
I certainly would like to see that because Rice coming in was a contested catch guy. He was a guy that played on the outside quite a bit, and we've really only seen him in the slant game. And while he's been really great in that, I would love to see him outside and get some more versatility with him and just see him go up. He's a big guy. Let him get out there. Let him play.
41-inch vertical.
Yeah.
That dude could jump over my back deck, and my back deck's like way high. I was kidding. I mean, my thoughts about that right now, if it ain't broke, why fix it? I understand Rasheed is not typically used the way that the Chiefs are using him, but it's working really well. So I'm like, I don't know if they need to really fix it. I mean, it's working so well. He's on track for 600 yards and like 6 touchdowns this year, the 3rd most productive rookie ever in the 25-year history of Andy Reid as a head coach, if he keeps averaging out how he's been, and I think it's only going to be more. Now, if they decide to do that, I don't really care, but I'm just like, it's working so well, I'm not really sure. I could honestly see them putting Mecole just in Justin Watson's, some of his routes. Outside, hey, run deep, kind of help offset MVS with some of the stretching of the field, because Mecole can run a 4.33 40. He's fast. He's a pretty fast guy. So we'll see, but I'm curious to see.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say? You took
I was
a breath
just gonna add. I know.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I totally agree with you. If it's not broke, don't fix it. All that, but it is kind of broke, right? Not him specifically, but the offense in general is a little off right now. So if moving him outside and moving someone inside who can be a little bit more productive kind of opens it up for everybody, I would be for it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Drill said there's no fear of our receivers. Hardman is a legit deep ball threat. He can burn anyone just about. We need some juice. I think he brings it. Let's go, dude. He's fast, dude. He is one fast man.
I need him and Mahomes to be on the same page, though, with those. I need
yeah, we might not see. I mean, it's going to take a little while. I don't know. I am very curious to see what we see from Mecole this Sunday, because if he ain't here today, he's there tomorrow, and tomorrow's Thursday. Mm-hmm. So he's got Thursday, Friday, and then I'm sure Mahomes will link with them or something on Saturday for like a little bit extra, but nothing crazy, so I'm definitely intrigued. Everything Weather said, I say Chiefs win 24-17, about identical to Cole's. Yeah, I said 23-17 because I'm like, I could see, I almost went 24, but I was like, I could see the Chiefs scoring 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals over 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal right now until they prove me wrong.
Yeah, I'm standing strong. 27-24. I think they're gonna get some touchdowns. I'm staying optimistic.
Please,
they're gonna get 4. They're gonna get 3 touchdowns. Yeah, did I do that math right? I did. Yeah.
Yep. 21-3. Sean with the 10. Appreciate you, Sean. Kylie, what's the food plan? And then who's the scariest team in the AFC now? Do you have a food plan yet, or is it too early?
I have a food plan. I'm always thinking about food. And the next, I love to cook. We are doing, so it's a 3:30 game. And so I'm doing like a big dinner, and I'm doing lasagna, something I can make ahead and then just throw in the oven and then pull it out whenever it's time. I'm very excited. I love making lasagna. I love that you can kind of do different things with it, but I've got a lasagna recipe that I'm pretty proud of. So I'll be doing that. We're going to have garlic bread. I'm a big fan of garlic bread. I sound like all I do is eat. Garlic bread, salad, all the things. So that's what we're doing. I would love to know what you guys are doing. Hit me up. Let me know either here or in the chat or on Twitter. Yeah, we'll talk about it. And then
there's nothing wrong. Well, real quick, there's nothing wrong with being somebody who appreciates food. I appreciate food a lot. I appreciate beer a lot. Good food with a good beer is a win-win. Shout out to Boulevard, hashtag not sponsored, but yeah. No, I would be afraid to eat a meal that heavy, I guess, just before I call a game. I feel like I'd be like lethargic. I don't eat much before a game. Yeah. I'm nervous. I got like pregame jitters.
Think about it. Well, in like high school and stuff, when I was playing sports, we used to do like pasta feeds before the game, and you would get all revved up on pasta. Yeah, carb load. It's not, maybe the timetable's not right, but think of it like that. We're carb loading for the game so that I can make it through.
That sounds so good.
As a fan.
Sounds so good. I'll tell you this, after a Chiefs game, I typically want junk. Like I want carbs. Like a game's over, I called the game. I was like, where's pizza? I was like, give me something. But then I have to work after it. So then I'm like, I don't know what I should really be eating. I don't really know. Travis with the 5. Chargers have a great pass rush, but the rest of the D is suspect. Get the ball out quick, and we should be okay. Let's drop Herbert to below 500. Because, if he loses, he'll be 27-8 in his career as a starter. Love that, Travis. Yeah, you've got a 27-28, I think, because he's 27-27 right now.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fun. Then you can't really, yeah. We need a whole separate show on Justin Herbert, because I have a lot to say about him.
I will say this about Justin Herbert. I have a lot of respect for him and the Chargers. Obviously, they struggle at times, but they always play the Chiefs really tough, and they're a fun battle, almost down to the wire every time we play them. So out of every team in the AFC West, I definitely have the most respect for the Chargers. I don't really have any issues with, that I can off the top of my head, like with any Chargers fans or anything like that. So yeah, I like Herbert. It kind of sucks the situation that he's in, though I'm not complaining because it's in our division, so whatever. But it is what it is. And I think the Chiefs are going to walk out, hopefully, with the W, 6-1. Please and thank you.
It'll happen. Stay confident. We're going to win.
Heck yeah.
Do you have any more? Are we in more super
chats?
Yeah,
I was looking. There's only one Chargers fan, and it's that lady who was cheering him on Monday Night Football. Did you see that lady?
Oh my gosh. Do you think she was real? Did you see all the
I think she's real. I think she's real because they interviewed her. Kimmy Checks, is that how you say her name? She interviewed her. I think she's real.
Yeah.
And I believe the Vikings jersey, her son plays like youth football, and their team's called the Vikings. So she bought a Vikings jersey and like dresses out in support of their games, from what I understand. Either way, I was like, dude, how is this lady not a plant? How is she real? She said she acts like that every game. I was like, dude, that's freaking crazy. Yeah, dude. Shane said, no way. Yeah, I swore she was a plant. Because the Chargers have done that before. They did it last year where they had like the four ladies that were dressed up exactly alike. I think that was a plant. You see that?
I don't remember that. No, it makes sense that they would have to plant fake fans because, they don't have very many. But I don't remember seeing that.
Yo, Chris Wright, are you in here? Who? Chris Wright, are you in here? Where's Chris? Yeah, sorry. I was going off of my donos on Ecamm, which is the streaming platform I use, and it doesn't show gifted. So I definitely missed Chris 5 gifted right. 5 gifted right. Chris, thanks for the 5 freaking gifted, dude. I need to look at this tab over here because it has gifteds included. So I definitely apologize. I missed that. Hope you're doing well, man. Really good to see you. And I just totally cut Kylie off, but I got terrified because I was like, no, I just shouted out everything but Chris's 5 gifted. It's like, frick.
All I had to say was I just appreciate that lady giving us like maybe the gift of the year because of her
Dude, the Chargers
excitement.
changed their profile pic to her face.
I know.
They're funny, dude.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
They're
are
the
funny.
best.
I don't know how I would feel waking up the next day as a Chargers fan to lose like that and then see that be the profile picture. I'd probably be pretty PO'd at the organization if that was
Bro,
me.
the Chargers social media team is so good though. Like I love it.
Yeah. They keep it fresh over there.
Derek Hayes said Cole's game day live streams would pop if he reacted to Chiefs games like the Chargers lady. Bro, she was going crazy. I would run out of energy in 30 seconds. That was crazy.
She was like,
yeah, it was super crazy.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was funny. She seems nice.
Well, Kylie, another one. Appreciate you as always. Do you have any final words for the people before we get out of here? Where they can follow you, where they can find you, or anything like that? That sounded weird. Not where they can find you, where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah. This is episode 6 with us. I am here every Wednesday at 8, kicking it with Cole. And then you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, Kylie Winfrey, the Kylie Winfrey, right there. And holler at me. Let's talk about the Chiefs. Let's talk about food. I will gladly have conversations about both. And go Chiefs. We're gonna win. We're gonna keep rolling this week. And I'm excited. I'm excited for another week. I feel like it's been too long since we've had a game because we're on that mini bye. So excited to see the Chiefs back in action.
I'm kind of glad for some roster moves made because even the mini bye had news slow. I did 2 game recaps last week, one on Monday, one on Friday. I was like zapped. And then Monday rolls around this week and I'm like, there's nothing to talk about, dude. There's literally nothing. So I didn't drop a video till Tuesday. But yeah, I'm glad for some moves. I'm glad to see what those end up looking like and how that translates. Here's the last question I have for you before we get out, even though you already signed off. Do you think the Chiefs make another move for a wide receiver before the deadline, or is Hardman it and they'll use the rest internally knowing Justin Watson's not going to be on IR and he's coming back, and possibly Richie James?
I would be really, really surprised if they went and got another wide receiver.
Same.
I just don't think
you need money to do that.
Yeah, you need money, and I still think that they've got some confidence in, like you said, Justin Watson. I think he'll be back, and I think they like what they've seen from Rashee Rice, and I think with them adding Mecole, it kind of, I don't want to say fixes the Tony and Sky problem, but I think it kind of maybe helps fill some gaps, we'll say. Yeah. I would be really shocked if they went and grabbed another receiver because, like you said, we need money.
We don't have a lot, especially like we had like 4 million or close or somewhere around there before Mecole, and then you've got if Frank Clark comes back. We don't have a lot at this point in time, so I would be pretty surprised myself. I would assume chat is some people in chat are probably hopeful for another, but I think that might be it.
Is there someone out there
million right now.
Is there someone out there that you would be interested in? I guess is my question. I mean,
some people brought up like Adam Thielen. There's like guys that are on teams that are just doing horrible right now. Marquise Brown, but it's just like, it's not that simple in my opinion. Like you bring them in, they need 1 to 2 months to get up to speed. I'm just like, it's not that simple. It costs money. A dream one for me is Brandon Ayuk. That's not happening this season. The 49ers would never offload him, even though he's on a contract year. They might not be able to pay him in free agency. But yeah, so I don't really, I'll tell you what, I was going to do a deep dive and next week do a big video on potential trade targets for the Chiefs before the deadline. But now that they've done all this week, I don't even know if that video is relevant. Like, I don't know if it would be relevant.
Yeah. Right. I just like
Mike Evans.
To your point, you gotta, but they're like, I think they're still in playoff contention. I don't see them getting rid of Mike Evans. The Bucks they lost bad last week, but that was to the Lions, I think. And
yeah, they scored only 6 against the Lions. Yeah.
They had a tough week, but their division's not great. I think there's still a possibility for them to, they're still rolling. I don't see Mike Evans. That would be
That's
who I
why,
would want.
yeah, that's where I have trouble with teams that are either in contention for the division or playoffs. I have a hard time seeing like any of those teams offloading somebody, even though Mike Evans is like kind of probably wants out of there. But dude, his contract is crazy this year. It's expensive, so
Yeah,
it's tough, man. There's not a lot. Like Kadarius Toney was the ideal situation. He didn't want to be there. The Giants were looking for trade partners. Brett Veach had his eye on Toney anyway in the draft. He was on his rookie deal, and they traded him for a third, I think a compensatory third and a sixth, or a third and a compensatory sixth, one of those two. And then you're on his rookie contract, and it's not super expensive. So, I mean, the cap hits are getting bigger now, but that's where I'm like, if they trade for somebody, I would think it's somebody on their rookie deal still, but I'm like, I don't know who, especially not with Mecole coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. I trust Veach. I know we say it a lot, but trust in Veach, and in Veach we trust, or whatever, and Andy, and I think they've got it figured out, and I just don't see us going for anyone else.
I think the last thing I'll say about that, I understand Brett Veach isn't the best at times at getting skilled players in the room. Like you're looking at Kelsey, that wasn't Veach. Hill, that wasn't Veach. And then some of the ones he did bring in, you're looking at CEH. Sky hasn't hit. Rasheed is looking good. But, like, I'm still going to give Veach and his team, Andy, and all them, like, the benefit of the doubt, considering how much they're winning. Nobody has won more over the last 10 years than the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody has even gotten close to the records, to the accolades of the Kansas City Chiefs since Mahomes became a starter. I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, I see some people on Twitter, like, trashing Veach. Some people are like, Veach needs fired. I'm like,
what?
Dude, I mean, you could be a Broncos fan right now. That's where you question every single decision that franchise makes, and you scrutinize it under a huge microscope, and you roast them almost every time they make a move because they're trash. But when it's the Chiefs right now and how they're looking and performing, and even still, and then we'll get out of here. The defense is top 3, top 5 in the NFL. The offense has taken a step back, but they're top 5, top 7 in most categories. And Mahomes has never had a defense like this. So it's definitely an intriguing season so far, and hopefully they button some things up, especially the red zone stuff. And then I think they're in top contention for another Super Bowl run.
I think so too. And just to defend him a little bit more, I mean, we won a Super Bowl last year, and he took the trade with Tyreek and had arguably one of the best drafts, I mean, possibly in this organization's history altogether, when you think about all those guys that came out of the 2022 draft. So, and the impact they're making not only last season, but what they're doing this season. So I get it with the skill positions, but I trust him. We won a Super Bowl last year. Like, I don't even know how we can talk about trying to get rid of the general manager when we're still coming off a Super Bowl run and we're 5-1. So I don't know. Yeah. Like you said, you could be the Broncos.
Dude, imagine. I just saw there was an article being discussed about benching Russell Wilson because if he gets injured, his injury guarantee for next year kicks in, and it's like a bunch of money. He's already owed a ton next year, but it would be even more if he got injured. So there's been discussions on, do you bench Russell Wilson and move on from him next year, even though his cap hit is astronomical? So we could be in a much worse spot. I'm like, thank God. Thank God for a good front office, man. So we've got it good over here in Kansas City. Well, Kylie, you could piggyback on that, and then we'll get out of here.
I was just going to say, we could be the Broncos. We could be the Chargers. You could be the Bears. There's a lot of troubling organizations out there. So
yeah, we got it good. We got it good over here. We spoiled. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for all the comments, the gifteds, the super chats, everybody just hanging out. Are we getting back Tyreek too? I wish, Brent. I freaking wish. Can't afford that guy, but he is, dude, that's a whole nother conversation, but Miami looks incredible. Tyreek is almost at 1,000 yards in 6 games. It's unbelievable. So anyway, appreciate y'all. Kylie, thanks again. And until next time, let's go.
Let's freaking go.
How about those Chiefs?